Expat life, the realities of living in a foreign country. Maybe you want to be an expat, maybe you want to live in another country, it's your dream. I think that a lot of people romanticize the idea of living in another country. We have a dream of moving to another country, and all of a sudden everything's going to be beautiful, our lives will be perfect. I think a lot of us think like that. And I think that there are plenty of people, a lot of social media people, romanticize that. What they don't tell you is that it's not always perfect. There still are problems. It's just that maybe as an expat, you enjoy the experience because on balance, you feel more fulfilled in another country, perhaps. But that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about living as an expat and the realities of living as an expat. It's not, it's not smooth sailing. There are issues, but we want to shed some light to this idea of living in another country and dispel the romanticism behind it, which so many social media people are very prone to doing, just telling you only the good and none of the bad. That's what we're going to talk about. Before we get started, everybody, please click that subscribe button, subscribe to Smart and Easy English, and also click the bell, select all, and that way you'll know when we upload future videos. And we have today Lorraine, my guest. Lorraine has lived in has lived in Italy. You have worked in Italy, and now you're looking to return to Italy again. So expat life is calling you once again. Lorraine, how are you?
Hi. I love that. It is calling me.
Yes.
Yes, I am so excited. I cannot wait to actually be there. And, who knows, I might, put my time here and then, kind of go back and forth. And, but I'm definitely going to buy a place in the next year in Italy. So it'll
And
be
I can't
fun.
wait
It'll
for
be
you
an
to do
adventure.
that.
It's going to be fun.
Yes. It will be fun. And see, that's the romantic part of it, right? Like we're going to go to another country, we're going to buy, a country home or something like that. We're going to do things that are amazing, they'll make us feel whole and complete. And yes, that could happen. But at the same time, I want to talk about some of the realities of being an expat because you have lived in Italy in the past. You've lived
Yeah.
and worked in Italy. And while it was an amazing experience, we have to be honest. Both of us have had very, very good experiences in Italy. But
Yes.
at the same time, there have been a lot of problems as well, right?
Yes. And I'm thinking of one in particular when I actually was working at my friend Julia's her uncle's restaurant.
Hmm.
And I actually got a pin bone stuck in, I was scaling a fish, fabricating a fish, and it was a beautiful, I don't even remember what it was, but it was amazing. And a pin bone just lodged into my finger.
Hmm.
And their remedy, my friend Julia, her mom told me just to stick a tomato on it. And she literally plucked a tomato from her garden, wrapped the tape around my finger, and I literally went back to work.
Oh my! And she's a doctor too.
Yeah, it's crazy. And she told me there's no sense in going to a hospital because, the wait is 2-3 days long. And
What?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God!
Unless it's a real emergency, and they would never consider a pin bone stuck in your finger an emergency. And funny, I actually had to wait a couple months to get it out, and it just grew over. The skin just grew over the pin bone. But it was kind of crazy.
Wow! 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 Okay, so one reality is that sometimes the medical services are not as you expect. I mean, because like in the US, you just go to the hospital or you go to the doctor and you'd get that
Urgent
taken
care.
care of right away.
Oh
You go to
yeah.
urgent
Oh
care.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
to be very honest with you, no, I actually had to make an appointment. They're like, "Oh, the pin bone's already made its way into your,
Heart.
underneath your skin, and it's pretty and it's pretty comfortable." So we had to
Oh.
schedule an operation to get it. So it was honestly like probably 2-3 months down the line before my American doctor actually pulled the pin bone out, and I still have it today.
And it's
But
because you didn't take it out right in the beginning. It would have been
right,
very
right,
easy.
right,
But the
right. It
tomato
just
just made it worse.
tomato, and she's like, "Oh, the
Jesus.
tomato will just pull it out," and I'm like, "Really?"
What?
Because it's pretty lodged in there.
Yeah.
And they tried, they took tweezers and they were trying to pluck it out. And I said, "Shouldn't I go to the hospital, and maybe get a tetanus?" But nope, nope. It's
Wow.
she said, "Don't even bother going. It's pretty bad, the
Hmm.
hospital." And
Hmm.
she's native, she was raised in Italy and her whole family's Italian. And she's like, "Don't even bother going. It's not gonna work.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
They won't even take you unless it's something, detrimental."
Like you're on your last breath. Okay, maybe
Yeah,
we should take her to the hospital.
yeah,
Other than that, just a tomato will do it.
just a tomato.
So there you
Yeah,
go. You learn what a tomato can do for you other than
yeah,
making a
or not.
marinara.
Yeah, or not.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, that was pretty eye-opening, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you something else that was really eye-opening was the phone service there. And
Oh, okay.
it was just getting internet was absolutely
Oh,
horrible.
yes. Oh,
Horrible,
yes.
horrible. You had to walk, I mean, through villages, go, and I'm like, well, is there something like a coffee shop that I can get Wi-Fi? Yeah, but you have to walk up this mountain, take a bus. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like
Yeah.
you really have to think it's not easy. I mean, but people don't go there to be socially connected, right? I
Hmm.
mean, you do, but you don't. You really go to have a holiday and be disconnected from everyone and kind of just be in the moment. I'm at least for me.
I see. Here's the thing, right? The option is yours whether you want to be connected or not. However, to me, it is not optional to have internet. You must have it, and it needs to be good and reliable. I've asked like Airbnb hosts. I'll email them, and I'll be like, "Can you tell me what is the internet speed?" They're like, "I don't know. Can you please do a speed test and give me the numbers, the upload and download?" So they're like, it's like they've never heard of that. So,
No.
but somehow they managed to do the speed test and they tell me a number. Let's say the number was 15. And they write back. And I'm like, is that upload or download? They're like, I don't know what the difference is. And anyway, you shouldn't be working from home. It's not an office. And I'm like, oh my sweet Christ. Are you
That's the
kidding me?
European way. That's the European way. So
Yes. I'm like, have you been living under a rock?
they're like, "What's
People have
wrong with you, you American? You're working from home.
working from home.
Go out there and
You ought
La
to be
Dolce
jailed.
Vita." That's right. That's
So
right.
yeah, so there's that, and the other thing is that the internet speeds are abysmal. They are so slow.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because not just in Italy, but worse in Italy. But they'll say, oh yeah, we have fiber, and you know what the speeds are? 50, 100, 150. I'm like, we had that in the U.S. 10 years ago, and nobody even cared about it. It was just like standard speed off of like a cable modem. It wasn't even fiber. Their idea of fiber is 100 or 150 megabits per second. I'm thinking, are you crazy? Fiber is supposed to give you speeds like 750, 1 gigabyte, one and a half. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
just
But you
ridiculous.
also have to think, and there's no real rationale behind it because, to be very honest, the Europe in and of itself is their infrastructure on every level
Mm,
is still back 100 years, and it's just reality.
yeah. Yes.
It's
Yes.
just
Yes.
reality. It's not
Yeah.
anything. I mean, it's amazing going, and that's why we go there, right? You
Yeah.
want to go there because you want to be kind of transported back into another time, another
Yes.
place.
Yes.
You
Yes.
don't want like fiber optics where your internet is I mean, it's part of the experience.
I
It's
guess
part of
it
the
is.
experience.
Yes.
It's
Oh.
part of like knocking your phone against the table and going, "Dear God, please just let
Yeah.
me get this
Yeah.
uploaded. I need this photo uploaded onto IG." But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just part of the experience, and it's what makes it amazing. They don't care. They don't
Yes.
care that, like,
They have high
you can't.
tolerance for
Yeah,
bullshit like that. Yeah.
they don't care that, you have to separate every single thing on your plate, from the compost to the,
Oh God. Yes.
plastics, to the paper, they don't care. They're like, "You know what? You come here for a reason, and we're gonna let you are gonna experience every
Mm,
bit
hmm.
of our life day to day. So yeah, it was I know for when I was there last time, it was still 3G. And
Yeah, yeah.
the only place that really had kind of good internet was Starbucks, or there was
Hmm.
another Italian coffee shop kind of similar to Starbucks that was really amazing for internet. But you had to go and buy 15 different items, and then it was like you couldn't stay there all day.
Yeah. Yes, they definitely withhold certain basic services in Europe. Like you can't even use their bathroom unless you purchase something. But then, like if ever you go to one of the American chains, yeah, the bathrooms are open. You know,
Yeah.
So like you mentioned Starbucks, yeah, and even like in America, we kind of see Starbucks as our bathroom stop too. Not just to get coffee,
No,
but
yeah.
like if you're on a road trip, yeah, okay, where's the Starbucks? Where's the McDonald's? We're gonna go there. We got everybody. Let's use the
That's
restroom. It's not like that
that's
here.
funny. Oh my God, that you mentioned that. Because in Europe, I could not find a public bathroom.
Yes, they ration that. I don't know. Just nobody pee in this continent. you know.
I was like, do you have a bathroom? No. Do you have a bathroom? No. I mean, everywhere you went. But if you found an American fast food restaurant, which was
It'll be
few and
available.
far
Yeah.
between, you could definitely land on a bathroom. But yeah, and then the bidet. When I first went to Europe, I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
It's
as if
like,
their bathrooms aren't small enough, and then they got a bidet, and then it's just yeah.
oh my gosh, and you can't even sit. You're like almost to the ground. And a lot of them
Hmm.
don't even have any place to sit.
Hmm.
They're just like a little hole in the ground that squirts water. It's just funny. It
It
was
is funny
just
because
funny.
if you're a tour, okay, now we're talking about being an expat, which means you're living there. So when you're living there, these little
Oh,
funny things take on a different meaning as opposed to if you're just there for a
absolutely.
few weeks, which is why it makes it so
Absolutely.
hard. The bad internet speed, difficulty in finding a public bathroom, or one where they won't charge you. And what's so stupid is that okay, I'm even if I'm willing to pay, they don't make it easy because they only take cash. Now, I haven't used cash in many, 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 many years. So I actually find it funny when some places they only take cash. So that's
And
really
I'll tell
weird
you
too.
why.
But
I'll tell you why
yeah.
they do use cash is because of the taxation. I think when
Hmm.
you use cash, you're not taxed on it. And I think that is very appealing. And to be very honest, it's appealing in our industry, in the service industry too.
Oh, right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
you don't want to be taxed in every single end. So yeah, I mean, if they get tips, or you're paying for something in cash, it's a lot, you know, for
Hmm.
Europeans, I'm guessing it's a lot better, for them. But yeah, it was really interesting going to the first time I went to Europe. And then when I went to England, I mean, Reading, it's so different when you go to different countries and you see, you know, what works for them. And it was really amazing, actually.
Yeah. Do you find that in the UK it's a little easier? It conforms
Yeah,
more with our
yeah,
ideals.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're like England's younger, annoying brother, you know?
Right.
I mean, we're pretty aligned with them.
The other day I needed to add air to the tires of the car, and in order to add air at the gas station you have to pay for it, right? Okay,
Hmm.
whatever. But then again, you can only pay with cash, and I didn't have cash, so I said to the guy, but I don't have cash yet. Okay, okay, so no problem. So he whipped out the credit card machine, which this is just totally surprised me. He whipped out the credit card machine, he charged me €1, I paid with my credit card, and then he gave me a euro coin to put in the machine so the air would turn on. And that like totally shocked me because I was like, wow. For one, like he actually was, like he helped me out. You know what I mean? Like normally
Sure.
I would be normally I would have expected the guy to be like, yeah, it's cash only, sorry, bye. but he actually did
No,
something.
right.
That was shocking. Which just goes to show how bad it is and how inconvenient it is. Where it's shocking when somebody's agile and can actually kind of go. There's a hack to it to get around the needing a coin, and he was helpful. So I was like shocked. I'm like, wow, okay.
No, yeah.
But because in the US they wouldn't charge. Well, even if they charge, I think there's actually a law in the US where you can't charge people to add air to their tires. Yeah, you can't.
I will tell you something right now. You do charge.
Hmm.
Absolutely. They charge some
For air.
places it's like $1.50.
You mean where you are?
Yes.
Oh, then it must be a California thing because in California it actually says on the machine, if you are charged, you should call this number and report the establishment. In California, you're not allowed to charge for air for the tires.
That's actually amazing because
Yeah.
I will tell you something. Every place I've ever been to in the last, I can't tell you how long, they always charge for air. It's
Oh,
just,
okay.
yeah. And sometimes they will give you those coins. It's bizarre. Like, shouldn't air be free? It doesn't make any sense at
Seriously.
all,
Okay, look,
you know?
if they charge, okay, it's not a big deal if they charge. I mean, I prefer it to be free, but if they're gonna charge, at least the option to pay with a credit card. Or don't
Oh, yeah.
don't be cheesy. Don't be cheesy. If I'm buying gas, don't be charging me for air. Come on. It's like that. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I really, I don't understand why air isn't free everywhere. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It's air. Hello.
Yeah. Exactly. Um,
So,
so what other expat realities have you encountered that you're like, WTF?
well, the internet was a big thing and recycling was big. And I will tell you one thing that shocks me beyond anything, but I do understand it on some level is the hanging of the clothes, the washer not
Oh,
having dry, like the
yes.
trying to be,
No
I
dryer.
understand right. I understand
Hanging
going
clothes out to
green.
dry. Hmm.
Absolutely. And I understand going green and thinking about the environment and, where we are but I mean, how much how much laundry can you really just hang on a line? I mean, I,
Well,
I
it's just for one thing, as Americans, we don't like to hang our clothes out to dry because one is ugly. Right.
yeah.
Two, two, it's just not a very sanitary way to dry your clothes, and plus, they just don't come out right. They come out
Well,
like
they're just stiff.
they come
They're
out like
just
cardboard.
sometimes stiff.
It's just gross.
Yeah, it's but I do understand it, and I do appreciate that they do it. I've had to do it several times when I've been there, and it's just when you're living with other people in a villa and you have the little racks and
Mhm.
you're just trying to all fit your clothes on the racks. It's kind of
Oh yeah.
crazy. It's kind of crazy because you have to share space with people, and how many times can ask, oh, when are you going to be done? When are your clothes going to be done? I mean, my God, it's just
Oh
such a
God.
hassle.
Oh
It's
my
such a
God.
hassle.
This
And
that is
the and the
Jesus.
washers are so little.
Yeah, they're
Oh
little. It's like, what
my
are you washing? Kids'
God.
clothes? Baby clothes? Yeah.
I mean, we just one basket of laundry. I had to do like I had to run the washer 4 times, and it's almost counterproductive, isn't it? Because
Yes.
by
Especially
the
how they
time,
like to save energy, but then you're like, why are you washing so many that's so small?
yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's so funny to me. That was actually a real shocker. That to
Yeah.
me was like,
No
oh my
dryer's a
gosh,
shocker.
yeah,
Yes.
because it's so much. I mean, for me, it was so much easier just to stick something in a dryer and have
Yeah.
one of those big loads. But I saw something where this YouTuber was saying um, a lot of washers in the UK are now top loaders. They're getting out
Oh,
of it. I
okay.
think so. So think a lot of Europe now is, they're like, gosh, we really need them to stop working harder and work smarter.
Yeah.
And
Well, eventually news gets across the pond to the Europeans that maybe we're Americans are doing things a little smarter, just maybe.
yeah, I mean, we want things now. I think, and
Yeah.
that could be a good thing and a bad thing, but we're just like, okay, we want to wash our clothes now. We don't want to hang
Yeah.
them out for a day and a half and then,
Yeah.
rotate your sister and your brother and your mother's
Oh,
clothes. I
for
mean,
God's sakes.
that's,
Yes.
it's a lot. That
I
was one thing that and when I do move there, I'm going to have to adjust.
yeah.
I will. I'll have to adjust and I'll have to just, um, either figure out a way that a local electrician or someone can install I don't even know if they have the capacity to install a dryer. I don't
Yeah.
know I don't really know how it works, but
So
I would love it.
I remember the first time I encountered a drying rack, that thing you're talking about, that metal rack that you have.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
like, I was with a friend and I didn't know how to use it. I'm like, how do you hang clothes on here? I didn't
I didn't
understand it.
either. I was like, what the hell
He
is
showed
that
me how to hang
thing?
clothes on it.
My roommate, when I was staging, she's like, oh, you just do this. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God, doesn't that take
okay.
a long time?
Yeah,
And she's
seriously.
like, yeah, that's how we do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like Jesus criminy. That's that's really too much. Like that means the day before I have to plan to wash my clothes.
When I encountered the rack, I'm like, what is this shit? I'm gonna have to dry my clothes like this. So you know what I did? I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it in the other room. I'm gonna blast the air conditioning. I'm just gonna dry it in the
Yeah,
room. I'm not putting my
yeah.
clothes out to dry. What is this? Like this is nonsense. So I'm like, screw that. No, I'm not putting my clothes out to dry. That's disgusting. So I just put
And
it in
it
the other room with the blast of the air conditioning.
and it's not as if, you're, it's not like, oh, we're Americans and we have to do our clothes like this. It's just something we grew up with. And yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have to
yeah.
adjust when I move to Italy. And, if you're going to be, we just adjust. But my God, it's a pain in the butt.
Well, it's a waste of time. And, I think for Americans, we value our time differently than Southern Europeans, to me, it's just a complete waste of time. And it's not for me.
Well,
It's
then
really
I'm
for
going to
the
be a
birds.
devil's advocate.
Mm.
If you're going on holiday and you've got all the time in the world and you're with your family or your loved one or your partner and you just want to go and time is not of essence and you're just like, you know what, we're just going to hang our bathing suits. We're just going to hang our towels. We're going to wash. It's no big to deal. You're having cocktails. You're enjoying food. And yeah, who
Uh,
cares, right? I mean, who
sure,
cares?
I
But
guess there is that. Yes. But you can't live like that though. You do
no.
that for a few days. Oh, it's so interesting. It's so cool. We hung our clothes out to dry. I've never done that before. Interesting. But you're doing it months on end. You're just like, okay, kind of sick of this. Would like to bring it into, can we just bring it into at least like 1950 America? You know
So,
what I
right.
mean?
So, what you're telling me is your torture would be sitting outside in a lawn chair, looking at clothes hanging on the line,
Yes.
and just day after day after
Yes.
day. That would be your torture.
You know what is really interesting is I see, like, in wherever I'm staying, like different neighborhoods where, like the buildings are nice. They're these old, really nice buildings. And then you got people hanging their clothes out to dry, and it's so ugly. I see people hanging bed sheets out to dry that drop from 3 floors down because it's super long. And I am like, what the hell? So I've gotten to taking pictures of these of this. And so I think one day
Stop
I'm going to
it.
create a coffee table book. I'm going to create a
Like
coffee
Madonna,
table
old
book.
school Madonna, right?
Yes, of a ridiculous laundry hanging out to dry, and it's just ugly, so damn ugly. It just ruins the aesthetic of the neighborhood when you see that. It's just crazy.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That would be
You know,
that talk about a conversation piece. That would be a
yeah,
conversation
right.
piece. A
When
big
I was
old
living in,
like a big old line of granny panties going across.
yeah, seriously, and when I was living in Bangkok, okay, so last year I was living in Bangkok, and I did have a dryer. I was very lucky I had a dryer, and I was living in a condo building that was high up, and I would look down, and it was in a neighborhood of villas, and I would look down, and like the villa right next to me, which is a single family home, they call them villas outside the U.S. And so every day the housekeepers would come out and hang the clothes out to dry, and there was so much clothes out drying in their backyard that I was like, this is a drying farm. What's going on here? If you got that many people living here, why don't you have a dryer? It's just so weird, this idea of hanging clothes out to dry. A
Yeah, I
drying farm.
mean,
I'm not kidding you.
I mean, sure they did that, earlier, even in the 70s and some in the 80s, but I mean, that was for people that actually maybe their dryer broke, or they were getting a
Hmm.
new one, they had to get it. But I mean, I can't even tell you, nowhere in Europe did I ever see a dryer. And,
Hmm.
at my friends' houses, nowhere I went in an Airbnb, I mean, absolutely zero. And then, my friend that worked in a hotel, I said, well, how do you guys do your laundry? He goes, oh, because they don't obviously hang them. He goes, oh, we have a laundry service. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh
they
my
send it out.
gosh,
They send it
that's
out.
that's
But
crazy.
the problem is that, like, for example, like some of the places I stay, yeah, their towels were dried in a dryer. However, you know what I don't like about that is that when you send it out to a laundry service, you don't know how they're washing your clothes, and so you know what happens? They use too much detergent, and then so
Yeah.
what you I don't know if you've ever done this, but what I have found that every single time, if you go to like an Airbnb apartment or whatever, don't put any detergent in the washing machine. Stick all the quote clean towels in there and just wash it. And you'll see how sudsy it is. Ridiculous how much suds are on there. And it's because it's not washed properly. It wasn't rinsed properly. It was just stuck in the dryer with all that crap on it. And if you have
Oh
sensitive
wow.
skin, then yeah, that's why really I just prefer to do my own laundry or have it
Oh
done in
yeah.
house. If you have a housekeeper, your housekeeper knows how you like it done. But the funny thing is, I'm weird like that. Where in LA, I had a housekeeper, but I would tell her, "Don't do my laundry. I want to do my own laundry," because I'm real
Yes.
particular about like
Yes.
detergent and all that.
Yes. And when I was in England, I rented an Airbnb from an awesome family. We're still friends today. And they didn't have a dryer. They only had a washer, and it was in the bathroom. And I was like,
Oh, right,
wow.
right. It's always in the back. Or the kitchen. The washing machines sometimes even in the kitchen. You've seen those, right?
Yeah, and they had a shower head that only turned on, only was like a few gallons, so you only had hot water and literally for about 2 minutes and you were done for. And yeah.
Yes, yes. That is one of the realities here. And again, we're talking about Southern Europe because these things don't necessarily apply to Northern Europe, okay? Because it's,
Right,
richer,
right.
more economically prosperous. But okay, so yes, they do have a problem with consistency in the hot water. I actually was in an apartment last week. I had to leave. I left. I canceled the reservation because the hot water was so bad. Like it would cycle on and off while you're showering. So when you had it on, it would be super hot. And then if you adjust the lever to cool it, then all of a sudden the hot water would just completely shut off. So you'd have cold water. So it's either really hot or nothing. And so, but this happens a lot where in places that I've stayed, the hot water just either, like you said, not enough, or poorly regulated, or just inconsistent. They don't know how to handle hot water or something. I'm like, we've been having hot water for
Well,
centuries, for a long time. What's
uh,
going on?
well, I will tell you something. We are a new, we're what, 250 years old or something around that. And you
Yeah.
have not had their infrastructure done, I mean, probably updated in hundreds of years. I mean, there are some things that they probably have absolutely no control over as far as their infrastructure. And Italy
Mm-hmm.
surprised me because if you go from the south to the north, it is like night and day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's better. Well, it
You know,
is
as
better. It is better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the internet, I mean, pretty much everything. And that's what I'm looking to do, is maybe get something up north,
Mm-hmm.
um, near Tuscany. Even though it's farm, it's still, it's a little more, and I don't want to use the word
evolved, but it is a little more evolved as far as like there's big grocery stores up there, and there's a lot more.
Oh yeah.
It's accessible to a lot more.
Esselunga is a nice grocery store in northern Italy. Esselunga, maybe you've
Yeah.
been? Yeah.
No,
But I will tell
I
you
went
though,
to
speaking of like these expat life things, is even the best supermarkets in Italy are nothing compared to the like abundance in terms of abundance compared to the supermarkets
right,
in the US, right?
right, but with abundance, do you necessarily get quality? No. And in Italy, even though there's not much abundance, you'll have a lot more quality for sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I
Here
haven't.
we have Walmart, and I'll tell you something,
Oh yeah,
it's
not
funny.
that.
I mean, even Wegmans, they're a higher end store. Whole Foods is disgusting. I'm sorry.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely horrible. And just everything is just even the fruit in Italy is better. The cantaloupe, the watermelon, I mean, just everything. And I would prefer to have something less and more than more and less. Do you understand what I mean by that? It's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'd
Quality
rather
over
have
quantity.
absolutely 100%, 100%.
It must be it must be that California supermarkets have amazing produce then and abundance.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Because yes, because in or
Yes.
California in general, we do have a lot of abundance, and the produce is stunning compared to what I've encountered in Southern Europe, but even in Italy, where I'm like, I can't even get a nice head of broccoli that looks fresh. I literally Do you know what they do that's really super disgusting is not all supermarkets, but many, what they'll do is they'll wrap the broccoli in plastic wrap, completely wrapped. And so what it does is and of course it's very humid, so it creates humidity within the plastic, and then
Sure.
you'll have
Bacteria.
mold. Yes, you have mold,
Yeah.
and on the florets. It's so disgusting.
Yeah. It's pretty hardcore. And then, if you go to some of the small little mom and pop places on the Amalfi, they have small little fruit and produce
Yeah.
and vegetables, and they are amazing. They are amazing because they were just
Hmm.
handpicked, and but it's seasonal, of course. But yeah, I
Yes.
think that you're gonna have the good with the bad if you're planning to move to Italy or anywhere in Europe. You're going to have, things that you're just going to have to deal with. And that's kind
Yes,
of
that's
a
true.
trade-off, right? That's just a trade-off that,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to move to Europe, you'll have things you'll have to adjust. Just like if, you were European
Yes.
coming to America. I mean, you see YouTubers and they're like, oh my God, my first time in Target or Walmart. I'm like, ee, why would you go to Walmart? Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
listen, we've all bought from Walmart. We've all needed things from Walmart, and I'm not against it, but I wouldn't buy food there. I just wouldn't. If I had to,
Yeah.
yeah, but I wouldn't buy food. I did go there the other
No.
day because I had to get batteries, and I saw.
Your connection's cutting out. Your connection's cutting out, Lorraine.
Yeah.
Okay, Lorraine, your connection's cutting out. Let me just take a moment to just reintroduce the podcast. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. We are talking about the realities of being an expat in another country, and the reason we're talking about the realities is because I find that a lot of people really romanticize this idea of living in another country. They only talk about the good. They never talk about the bad. But that's not reality. Reality is it can be difficult just as it can be rewarding. And I think that satisfaction comes not from finding a place with no problems, but finding a place that, on balance, is still a great place to live despite the problems. But nonetheless, the realities of living in another country are such that, yes, there are going to be problems. And that's what we're talking about, just to dispel any sort of myths about living in another country. It's not all, sunshine and roses. If you are enjoying the podcast, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please subscribe. So click the subscribe button, and also please click the bell and select all That way you'll know when we upload future videos. You've got to click the bell and select all, because if you don't, YouTube will not show you future videos we upload. Strange thing. So make sure you click the bell and select all. Okay, so let's get back to it. Lorraine, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you were saying you were at Walmart and you
I
did
was
not
just
buy
saying
food.
that, yeah, it was just small little organic section. And, I thought, well, that's, I didn't expect them to have any more than that. But yeah, there's this trade-off, would I rather be in Italy somewhere in a small little shop? Of course. I mean, but, like I said, it's just a trade-off, depending on where you're at. And, people love to come to America and say, oh my God, I'm in Walmart and look at all the variety and look at all of the different chips and look at all the things that I can get. But I'd rather not. I mean, I would rather be in Italy, having fewer choices,
Yeah.
better quality.
No, Walmart's not great. So wait, so people come to the US and they go to Walmart thinking that it's some great thing? Because Walmart is not great.
Well,
It's
yeah,
just
I think they
convenient, I
do it
think.
for content. I think they do it for content, but I think
Okay.
what shocks them and surprises Europeans is the amount of the variety of Coke, the variety of,
Uh-huh.
chips, the variety of
Yeah, that there is.
different things that they could have, the variety of
Mhm.
2,500 toothpaste or, whatever there is. I mean, I think
Yes,
they're
that's true.
they're fascinated by the fact that we have so much variety where they don't.
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
they don't.
Yes.
And I
Um,
think they come here and make video content, saying, oh my God, we're at Walmart now and look at this row and row and row of chips. And I mean, I get
yes.
it, but
Yes, I get.
it's
Yes.
for as an American, it's kind of embarrassing. It's like, God, how much chips can you come up with? I mean, Doritos has 100 brands, ranch and this and that. I'm like,
Oh, that's
oh my
true. Yeah.
God,
Forgot
how
about
many
that.
more brands of Doritos are you going to do? It's insanity. It's insanity. And I find it really
Yes. Or just the cereal.
horrible.
The cereal aisle. The
Yeah.
cereal aisle in
Yeah.
America.
It's huge.
There's a
It's
there's a
huge.
lot of, yeah, huge
And I
selection
thought,
of cereal.
how many times can you do Cheerios over or Frosted Flakes or
Hmm.
Raisin Bran? I mean, oh my God. And, I think that's the appeal for Europeans is the choices. And, they have a few boxes of cereal, but for the most part, they're looking to, like I said in the previous podcast, add 19 ingredients to a French fry or add a bunch of, horrible ingredients to sodas. It's fewer items and, really, really good ingredients.
Hmm. So do you know the other thing that is kind of you have to get used to in Europe is the refrigerators. Is that, I know it's funny to say, but their refrigerators here are not good compared to American refrigerators, to the point where they'll actually call our type of refrigerator an American fridge. Have you heard that?
Yeah, actually, when
Heard
I
that?
was in England, I did see a couple of huge refrigerators. But I think in the small countries like Italy, even I think France, a lot of them do not have we're bombastic. I mean, it's what it is. Americans are big. We do everything big on a huge scale. I mean, look at our portions. Look at our bags of Cheetos. They could feed 5
Yeah.
families. I mean, easily.
Yes.
Everything we do is big. Everything we do.
I mean, but not just the size of the refrigerators, but just how they work. The refrigerators are
Yeah.
just not that good here. I mean, I've stayed in so many places where the refrigerator um, is just crap. Like it doesn't keep the food fresh, or you'll see maybe
It,
like all
it's
the
back
like
40, 50 years, right? I mean,
yes,
they don't
yes, you
have
see
any of the touch
frost.
screens or
Oh
yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's old school.
Like I said, I don't think
Yes.
that their electrical structure, like their infrastructure, could even handle, the wattage and the what we have. Like ours are
Hmm.
massive.
You know,
You know,
you now you mentioned that when you move back to Italy, you want to get a dryer. Of course, I'm all for it, but just be prepared to. You can't just get a dryer because like their electrical panel, their electrical system is inferior.
right,
So what you have to do is
right,
you have to upgrade. You have to upgrade the
right,
panel.
right,
Otherwise, they have this thing where they'll tell you straight to your face. You can't wash your clothes at the same time you turn on the dishwasher. You have to do one or the
right.
other, and they will live like that, and they think it's and they're okay with that. Whereas to Americans, I've never heard of not doing two things at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing that we're gonna have to trade off. I mean, it's just reality, and we might get frustrated. And listen, we may live half a year there and half a year in America, but I think that that is what unique, that we are different, and
You're cutting out.
humans
You're
were the
cutting out,
same.
Lorraine. You're cutting out.
Damn it!
You're cutting out,
Sorry,
Lorraine.
I'm in a bad area. Um,
Uh,
can you
oh,
hear me
okay.
better?
Are you on the cellular network or your Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I'm on a cellular network. I can't get Wi-Fi for
Oh,
about
that's
another hour.
oh, I see. Okay, that's probably
Yeah.
why.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it
Yep.
fluctuates. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
So, but
Do you
it
want me
would
to
be
call you
worth
when I leave
upgrading the
here?
panel. Yeah, let's wrap this up then. So let's finish talking about this upgrading of the electrical panel, and then we'll wrap up, and
Yes.
then we'll yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it'll be worth your while to upgrade the electrical panel, especially if you own the place, because you said you're wanting to buy a place. So definitely upgrade the
Yes.
electrical panel. Don't be like the locals. Oh yeah, I'm gonna wash my dishes only, and I'll do my laundry later. No, please, no.
No, I didn't even see any dishwasher. That's a luxury.
Oh
And I
God.
think, and not because I don't think anyone can afford it. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying because the infrastructures, they are very old.
Hmm.
And hey, on some level, I do enjoy that, going back. And on a daily basis, I'm not so sure how I would enjoy it, but like we've both said, it's definitely a trade-off.
Yes, yes, it is. But yeah, no, I can't live without a dishwasher. That's ridiculous. And it's really strange to me also that they would rent vacation homes or holiday apartments with no dishwasher because who the hell wants to do dishes on vacation? I certainly don't want to. I don't ever want to do dishes in any scenario. But it's
No,
really
right?
weird to me when holiday apartments and don't have dishwashers. That just makes no sense. Zero sense.
Well,
But anyway.
the water pressure was great, and you had hot water. I mean, really hot water to be able to go through that. I mean, it's not so bad, but if you had to, but the water pressure there isn't that great either. Don't even think it.
Oh,
Um,
that's true.
I've
It's
taken
not
showers in
reliable.
so many
Those things.
bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's trickle. I mean, it's a trickled little. Yeah, it's not the best, and it's just the infrastructure. That's really what it boils down to,
Hmm.
and they're happy with what they're happy, and that's really. I mean, we will have to adjust if we do. If I get a place there, I'm definitely adjust to it.
I
And I
know what you're
did,
talking
and I
about.
loved it. I absolutely loved it because I found that, those trade-offs to me were just small compared to what I got in the return, right? So
Hmm.
for me,
So that's good because that's what it's all about. It's all about balance. And at the end of the
sure,
day, do you still want to live there despite the problems? Not in the absence of problems, because that's not
sure,
realistic. And that's the whole subject of this
right.
podcast is the realism of living in another country. Not no problems, but despite the problems.
Yeah, and you have to kind of go through your pros and cons list, right? Like just
Yeah.
making lists when you're there. Like this is what, I might have to deal with. And it's better to do that and know what you're heading into
besides just jumping on a plane with a suitcase and going, I'm here. Now what do we do? You better be prepared for a lot of eye-opening scenarios. I mean, yeah, you could
Definitely.
do that,
Things you
but
don't even
you know,
expect. Yeah.
things you don't even expect. That
Yep.
is the romantic part of it all. That,
Hmm.
most people are like, oh, it's just, it's just Tuscany is so beautiful. And, everyone's seen Under the Tuscan Sun. And, they have this big romantic bubble in their head. And there's some hardcore realities, really hardcore, like
Hmm.
contractors,
Hmm.
not speaking the language with the contractors, not, you really should know some Italian if you're going to live there, because it's going to be
Yes.
really important, to be
Yeah,
able to
absolutely.
communicate with with people at the grocery store, or doctors, or, electricians, or people that are going to help, fix your house, or, as a handyman, or, I mean, there's so many, even if you have to go to the DMV, I mean, there's so many ins and outs. But yeah, I mean, and to me, it's all worth it, because it's part of the whole learning experience of a different culture. But, you know, myself being Italian, I'm so open to it, and I think it'll be amazing.
Yes, and I can't wait for you to return to Italy and live the
Yes.
the expat life once again.
Yes. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited.
All right, so we have reached the end here. Of course, we're not done talking about the realities of expat life. There's a lot more, so please join us in the next podcast when we continue to talk about this and other things as well. But thank you for joining for this one. If you've made it this far, I know you must like this podcast, so make sure you give it a thumbs up. Please support the video, and also please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. And also, very important next step, make sure you also click the bell and select all, and that way YouTube will show you future videos that we upload. If you don't, YouTube won't show you our future videos. So make sure you click the bell and select all. All right,
And
thank you for
thank you for
joining.
having me.
Yeah, thank you so
I
much,
really
Lorraine.
appreciate
Always a
it.
pleasure.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. And thanks, you guys. And I hope you like the podcast, and I hope you click the bell. And I can't wait to do the next one. Part two. Part two.
Yes, exactly. See you all then. Bye bye for now.
Bye bye.